Thank you, Jean-Guy. Thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone for having us. When I was thinking about today, exactly what Jean-Guy said is, how can I make this relevant? There's going to be some people in this room who bring far more relevance to your daily operation, daily life. But when I looked at Les Mills, and Jean-Guy, slight correction, it's 22,000 facilities globally and 110 clubs, but it's more about how we do it. And I thought about that is actually we inspire and educate and lead 130,000 instructors around the world. And I thought, well, that's got to be something to do with it. So when we think about it, it comes back down to how do we align as a business and drive and inspire those individuals. And is our purpose to create a fitter planet? And that's actually more people, more active. And actually, if that's actually what underpins us, when I'm thinking about how I can be relevant to you today, I'm thinking about, okay, how does it come back to our why? And then you think about where we are, where we operate. So fitness is the largest sport in the world. And I'm thinking, okay, well, how does that relate to spa and wellness? But actually, it's about consumers. You know, we actually know from our research, we do research every single year, that 75% of our consumers are doing gym-based activities. So if I think about that, and I think about our purpose as a business, I go, well, how is it relevant to everyone here? And how can I give some messages quickly and answer some questions around that relevance? And it comes back to three things. You know, we are here to improve people's lives. And that's our essence of what we do. But we've got to do it in a way that actually is compelling, that keeps them coming back for more. We are a high-volume, low-revenue business in the main in fitness. So it's got to be about repeat experiences. And how we do it in the main is through these three things. How we develop our product and continue to develop our product, how we actually listen to the consumer, then how we develop our team, develop our people. Those are three things really that we're underpinning how we, in essence, are aiming to create a fitter planet. So when I think about our product, we absolutely obsess. Our product is everything to us. How we iterate and innovate our product. People think they know Les Mills. You don't know Les Mills until 90 days ago. Because we innovate every one of our 28 products every 90 days. From all the music, from all the choreography. And that obsession in product is absolutely a fundamental part of success. When you think about inspiring and motivating and changing, there's huge parts that go into it, but really it's about a team on music, a team on choreography, and how you do that every single 90 days. And remember, some of you may know Body Pump, and it is so different than it was 35 years ago. It is so different, but it is a strength-based program. But actually it changes and evolves, and the people change and evolve. So when I think about product, we absolutely have three key things, and we've got 9 products that are in the pipeline as we speak. And actually every single year we've got labs all around the world, and we innovate and test those. One of the bizarre things that happened as a test with Meta, and we put some of our content on these Oculus glasses, and it boomed, and it popped. And we went, wow, we've got a new market. And actually we're the largest app in the Oculus home store. You think, well, what's that going to learn? What are we going to learn from that? Well, actually 75% of the people that download it had never been a member of a gym before. So how are we accessing a new market? And so for us, when we're testing and learning, guess what? We get lots of things wrong. That's why we've got 9 coming down. Probably only 3 of them will come to life. But if you're not testing these things, you're not learning about new markets. So product is a huge part of us. And obviously research and science-backed proven is actually important too. So we partner with some of the world's best universities. Leading through that, it's got to be about the customer. We've seen huge change and evolution, I'm sure you have, but in the fitness industry, specifically around customer. And we do these insights every single year. We were lucky. We've got a direct consumer part of our product, which is digital, and we can get lots of insights from that. We feed that back to our B2B business. And we've landed on 4 key things that actually the modern consumer is wanting from us. And we've changed most of our business, including education, how we deliver it, and actually what we actually do, definitely on convenience and flexibility. People do want it to be theirs, and when they want it. No longer a 2-day workshop weekend works. You have to give content to people in a digital format. You've got to be bite-sized chunks, and it's got to be ongoing. So some of these things we use in our internal mechanisms, but definitely in our product. One thing that's awesome, Dave, be pleased to know this, connection and having a live experience is still a fundamental part of our proposition. And so actually weaving this back into our business is important. But some of the things are coming up, and I'll share our consumer insights with you all, so I'll make sure Jean-Guy has our latest research of our consumer insights. I want to pull your eyes to the bottom right, though, This is a fundamental shift in the last 10 years. About 10 years ago, 19% of all workouts in a facility in group exercise were in strength. It's now 50%. That includes Pilates and strength-based workouts. But insights like this really will help you listen to the consumer a lot more and provide more services. And this could be online or even facility. When I think about what's changed, this is fundamentally shifted in the last 5 years. And Dave will talk about that fact it's not relevant for his market. Absolutely right. But there is a consumer out there that is actually not going into a facility for their whole of their experience. So how do you use that insight in your proposition? What we've done is we've created four channels. We not only do one, we're growing our market, as I said before, wider. 2 insights today. I was lucky enough, thank you very much, Jean-Guy, to be in the A-Loft last night. Opened up my TV, QR code. 7 days free for a workout. You can do a workout right there in my room. Awesome. What an experience for a consumer, right? Isn't premium. I want an instructor. I want to be with a group. But actually, if I wanted a utility workout, it's great. Also, I was in Germany last week. Would you believe it? Aldi, the discount food manufacturer, are launching a fitness and wellness app. Why? Because their consumers want it. They've got to be relevant to their consumer. They've got to give their consumers what so they keep coming back to them to buy retail. It doesn't mean it has to be direct linked, but this is changing. It is happening. There's a cohort out there and how you expand in your market. Which comes back to our team. Standing here is a little bit ironic telling the hospitality industry to focus on developing your team, because the fitness industry could learn a lot from you. However, it's an important part of us as an educator. So what we know is actually your product and your consumer insights are nothing without the execution. And getting people to mastery takes education. And it takes nurture. And it takes an ongoing approach. So how you do approach team and how you do approach development is a huge part of it. And that's what keeps people coming back. And how you're mastering success, it's not just doing tick box for CPDs. How you're mastering success, getting fulfilled people, being at their best on a daily basis is a huge part of what makes a difference to that product innovation or that consumer insight. Because where it lands is definitely about that person at the end of the timeline. One of the examples we did to do this, we partnered with Pullman just to bring it relevant to you, and they wanted to really own the fitness landscape in their proposition. So they went on an ambassador boot camp. And what they did was they went and tried to attract talent and did some amazing stuff. Well, it helped us. We were just a content provider. They wanted to attract new talent to their proposition, did a boot camp with ambassadors, and then they actually landed on a cohort that actually became their fitness ambassadors on social media and actually became relevant. So they used fitness to draw in a new cohort to their proposition by just a simple activation, by using fitness and fitness superstars in local communities to drive cohesion to the fitness proposition in their estate. Loads more examples. But Jean-Guy's already given me a wind-up. But the fitness landscape has changed. Key thing we actually want to land on you is there is some simplicity to it. It is about really obsessing about your product and having an innovation cycle that's actually making sure you're relevant. It's absolutely listening to the consumer, making sure you've got enough touch points with the consumer to really learn about what's changing with them and actually focus on mastering and developing your team. Because for us, that's how we create life-changing fitness experiences with you, with your proposition. And yeah, thank you very much for hearing and listening. I look forward to some challenging questions firing at me. Thanks, team.
Hopefully you will get a little bit out of this. It is slightly different. My background is very strong in spa. However, more recently, in the last 5 or 6 years, I've been working for David Lloyd, who we know are fundamentally more about health clubs and fitness. So hopefully a little bit of how we attract and retain customers will be helpful to you in your world. So when I began my previous role as head of spa with David Lloyd, I was tasked with creating a new concept for spa. We realised that whenever we built a spa onto one of our health clubs, it became drastically more successful, and it did that by retaining members more. It increased our dwell time. It also drew quite a broader membership base. So which I'll talk about a little bit later, further along in the slides. But yeah, those really are the things that we were tasked to do. This was our that was the essay question, so to speak. So we set about doing quite a lot of research with insight. We're a really insight-led company that we constantly are asking our members if we're doing the right thing, if we're doing the wrong thing, what do they want us to do. They all wanted us to do this. And we found that most of the people were joining our clubs. It had really changed pretty much around the pandemic also, from wanting to get fit. It actually used to be to look good. That used to be what people said most about why did you join a health club, because they wanted to look good. It's completely changed now. And it's much more about enhancing overall lifestyle, relaxation, and just general wellness. So, of course, we went into this direction. And we developed a spa retreat concept, a little bit like Dave said about escaping. Spa retreat was our marketing director's idea to name them this, which is really to sort of pull people away from everyday life and help them relax. So a lot around it was, we have a few clubs in Germany, and what we wanted to do is sort of emulate a little bit what they do, where spa becomes part of your lifestyle as opposed to just a day out. So for us, I guess a lot of us, a spa day would be typically, once a quarter, I think the stats are, whereas we wanted to encourage people to use spa more regularly and have that as inbuilt as part of their wellness sort of lifestyle, more ingrained. And that's sort of what it's done, to be honest. It really has, the usage is from the membership base, which usually, as Dave said earlier, members, health club members and spa members, as we all know in here, they don't really tend to cross over that much, but we have found a massive uptake of health club members using our spas. So we needed to create something that was a little bit different. We worked with a lot of our partners, creating bespoke blends and infusing those into the steam rooms and saunas, and sort of getting a bit of a footprint and our own specific journey in there. So we started in Royal Berkshire and Purley. We were talking a lot. I was talking to Todd, my industry colleague, last night, a lot around the M25. So we've got 25 clubs within the M25, and they tend to be the ones that we trial things in. I live in the northwest, and we're usually the last to get the investment. We try it all down south first and make sure it's going to work. So we tried in Royal Berkshire and Purley. In late 2019, we launched. And it was wonderful. I mean, I'll show you a little bit later what happens to the statistics and the KPIs in a club after we launch a spa. So we launched those two simultaneously, and then since then we've launched 27 all across 5 different countries, and we will be launching another 32 by the end of 2026, so quite busy. This is an example of some of the investment that we invest into the clubs as we're doing this. A lot of it is, we are really lucky that we have owners who are very keen on this product, and they're able to give us the scale to invest, and we also have the space. One of the most important things I would say is having that amount of space and that investment so we can do it properly and we can do it on a large scale. Nothing kills a spa more than it being completely crowded and the experience going bad. So size has really been important, and having that breadth of opportunity. So some of the learnings are up here. I won't read them all out, but we did find that the top left there, 70% of members who use the spa think that it's a premium addition to the club, and it makes them feel as though they have great value for money. So one of the things that we're constantly trying to work on is providing our members with great value for money, because we sometimes don't come across as an overly generous brand. We sometimes have that reputation of being a little bit expensive. So value for money is everything for us, and we do try really hard to focus on that. The majority of the members, they see the spa retreat as serving in relaxation and recovery. I think that's probably important for me to talk about, because, again, the users aren't necessarily the same psychographic as my old world, which was all day spa and relaxation. There's a lot more around recovery these days, so we're having an awful lot of people come to us as part of our insights and say we want a bit more recovery. So I'm trying to learn a little bit more about that, because some of it is, I mean, there's some crazy stuff out there, isn't there, really? We've dabbled in cryotherapy, which is amazing, and lots of touchless therapy, again, as Dave was talking about. Hydromassage, we're working with those guys too, so we sort of have offering the relaxation side of things and the recovery side without actually relying 100% on the on having the therapists in place. Obviously, therapy and touch therapy and massage is still really important, and our members want that. We just don't necessarily have the infrastructure for it, so outsource what you're not an expert at. So we have our friends Michael and Becky here from Pure Spa who take care of that side of things for us. The bottom one, increased drive time for membership catchment. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because we've got some stats on it here. So drive time and catchments. We have shown a shift towards being able to pull members from a much wider catchment in these clubs that we have built the spas into, and it's quite drastic, really. So 7.7% for non-spa retreat and 13.1% for spa retreat. That's the scale of how we've attracted people. It's quite a lot, you know. When you think of our member, we've got 755,000 members. So when you sort of scale that up, it is really quite a lot of people. Beyond 20 minutes, members have increased drastically. So onwards and upwards, we hope that continues, and we are also increasing dwell by doing so. Dwell also really helps us with the value for money, and the usage helps us with retention. So one of our biggest learnings as a company is that if people, we call it doing stuff. It's not really very glamorous KPI, but we call it the doing stuff measurement. So if people come into our clubs and do stuff, they stay longer. So our retention increases, our churn reduces. So some results for you. Average growth following the spa retreat is 15.7%. The platinum mix shift, let me just explain what that is a little bit, because this is massively how we sort of grade ourselves in spa. So the platinum mix shift is, we have different categories of membership. We don't currently really do the day spa thing. We do members only for the most part. So if you're a Club Plus member, you don't use the spa. If you join one of our health clubs with a spa now and you're a Club Plus member, you don't have entry to the spa. That's not part of the membership, only if you're a platinum member. So we've been able to grow our revenue based on the platinum sales mix, which is, it spikes through the roof basically once we do this. If you're an existing member and we build a spa in your club, then it's all yours. You can use it, right? But if you join after that point, then that's when we start to, because we're a business, aren't we? We're all here for the same reason. So that's when we start to up the prices. It's been massively successful. It's been a tool that we don't really want to mess with because it's working so much, but we are quite busy. So we're trying to, look at different ways to house that. ROI increase of 50%. I'm actually erring on the side of caution there. It's a little bit more now. So we do see a massive ROI when we build a spa onto a club. I'm not allowed to talk about actual numbers, but it's 50%. So as you can imagine, it's quite high. Next step. So what we found is it's not just the spa that's really contributing to the overall growth of the company and the revenue. It's also overall premiumization. I think we made that word up actually, but it is also, it's more about sort of the whole club journey and the whole perception of what we are. So we're trying a few different things, but one of them is premiumization. So that people walk into a David Lloyd club and they feel, I'm getting value for money. This is really quite a special place. Workstation. That's this visual is of one of our most recent projects, Fulham. We haven't put a spa in. We've put a smaller spa in Fulham, but we've also put a workstation in, which is a little bit, of a WeWork type thing. That's another one of our projects that we're trialing. We've got about 3 of them now. They're seeming to affect the demographic of the members similar to the spa. The people are working. and they're going to the gym, and they're eating, and they're going for relaxing in the spa. So there's lots of different things we can do there. Recovery, further wellness products with touchless therapies, and we're also trialling mid-trial of the spa retreat model in a lot of in less affluent demographics to see if it works. And so far, it's showing the same behaviour as the M25 ones. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that continues. So that's it. That's it from me for now. I will hopefully be able to answer your questions, but I will hand back over to Jean-Guy, or I can stay. Do you want me to just sit here?
So Mosaic Spa and Health Clubs, yeah, we've been around for 37 years, and we started out as a business that was operating hotel-based health clubs, and we opened our first spa in 2005. So I sort of am just getting rid of my imposter syndrome, turning up at these kind of events and speaking. And we've kind of morphed into a business now that actually owns our own sites. We bought our first site in 2011, and we specialise in having health clubs and day spas as part of our offering. So yeah, we employ just over 400 people, and we've got actually a few more sites than Jean-Guy said. So obviously, I need to update the website. That's probably where he got that information from. But there we go. We're about 15 sites in total that we actually operate now, and 3 that we own all across the country. So my talk, what I really want to just do is share a few ideas and insights of what we've learnt kind of post-pandemic, how things have changed, and how we kind of manage our 2 kind of businesses. The health club side, where we're retaining people that are really local to us, and the day spa business, where we're also trying to retain and get repeat business from guests that come from a far wider catchment area. And I think that's one of the things that we've always kind of challenged ourselves with is, are we actually a health club or a day spa? Now, Steph's going to come up in a moment, and she's going to talk a bit about the David Lloyd experience, and I've been lucky enough, because we're speakers, to be able to see each other's slides. So David Lloyd have been way more successful than us at actually converting their health club members into using their day spa. So one of the things that we have very much is there is almost a conflict of interest. So the members get cheesed off with the spa guests, because they're going, well, I'm here and I'm paying you every month. And the spa guests feel they've got every right to the lounger and the facilities, because actually they've paid as much in a day as a health club member's paying in a month. So you have that kind of conflict of interest that we constantly have to manage. But around 2 to 3% of our day spa users are actually members of the club. So it just shows you how much, at the moment, that is an opportunity that we could kind of work on. I'm going to talk about some of the things that we're going to do to try and get more of our members into the club. In terms of the size of the business, so our spa, it turns over about 1/3 of what we get in subscription and member income. So if you like, 25% of our turnover, our clubs, comes from spas in total. And less than 10% of health club members use the day spa at the club. So if we've got a 3,000 member club, that kind of means we've got about 100 of our members that would use the day spa on a regular basis, which I say is something that we're looking to grow on. One of the reasons that I think that is because I think for day spas and people that want to use day spas, is part of the excitement of the day is actually the sense of the journey and the sense of escape. And so some of the research that we've done, we operated quite a few clubs in East Anglia, hence the reason why that's where we're based. And we know that for our health club members of our health club and day spa in Cambridge, more of those members travel an hour to use our spa in King's Lynn than actually use the spa in Cambridge, and vice versa. So our King's Lynn members basically travel down the A10 and use the Cambridge spa as a day out, and our Cambridge members travel up the A10 and use King's Lynn as a day spa. So I think we have to recognise the fact that actually for a spa day and a spa experience, what a lot of people are actually looking for is the fact that they actually want to escape and get away. And that means that we would be averaging for our spa guests a journey time of around 45 minutes and up to an hour and a half to actually get to the club. So let's talk a little bit about health club retention, and Martin flagged this up a bit actually. Yeah, we're seeing some different stats, and maybe that's because we've got a different type of model to what Les Mills are seeing. So since the pandemic, we have actually seen less of our members taking part in kind of exercise at home or online than they were pre-pandemic. What the pandemic has done is created a group of people that I think are far more value into actually face-to-face with an instructor, that sense of community and that sense of belonging for a health club. And that's something that we're certainly seeing as a real driver, that actually people want more group exercise. So there's been a huge growth in group exercise. We have had to increase the number of classes that we put on in our clubs, and the occupancy of each of those classes has actually increased significantly. So we are seeing a real growth and demand of people to actually want to be around, be with the instructor and communicate. Maybe that's because of the fact that we were locked down or whatever, but that is for us, is a real growth area. And when we have tried, which we did post-pandemic, to continue the online classes, which was basically, obviously, as you'll be aware, the only thing that we could really offer in lockdown, the usage of that has just dropped off to zero. So that's where we're at. And I think what we're also seeing is this whole idea of working from home, is that a lot more people want to use the club as a base. So the health club has become more than just a place to go to exercise. It's become somewhere that people want to go as part of their lifestyle. So we're seeing members now arriving in the club at 9 o'clock in the morning, having a workout, doing a class, working in the cafe bar. Our turnover in our bars and cafes has increased by 30% pre-pandemic. And then maybe doing another class at lunchtime and being in the club pretty much all day, because it's more of a fun place to be than kind of working from home. How long that will continue, whether that's a permanent change or there is the drive to get people back to the office, may well change that. But at the moment, we're not seeing it. We're just seeing more and more people with our laptops, using our Wi-Fi and drinking our coffee, which is great, and being part of the club for a far longer period of time. In terms of spa guest retention, we work really hard to try and bring people back into our spas, and I think we've been able to take some of the lessons we've learned from our health clubs into the spa setting. So 82% of our spa guests have actually been to one of our spas before, and 32% even, and 84% of what I was trying to say of spa guests have actually been referred by somebody. And obviously that's slightly skewed, because if you've got a hen party, they're effectively referred, but they're part of that same party. But we're seeing a significant amount of repeat business. And I think the reason why we're able to achieve that is through communication. So once we would encourage everybody onto our website to sign up to our newsletter, they get a discount off their first experience if they do so. And by capturing that database and making sure they are opted in to receive our marketing information, that is where we have been able to then communicate with them on a regular basis and actually encourage them to come back in and continue to come back in. We make sure also, where we can and where people have opted in marketing-wise, we log key dates. So if you're coming on a hen party, we find out the date of your wedding, so we know when your wedding anniversary is. So we will be in touch with you a month before your wedding anniversary to say, why don't you come back to the place where you had your hen party? And we obviously take people's birthdays, so again, we can encourage people to come back in from that. And I think the final point that we do to try and really drive this repeat business is that every time you leave us, we give you a Love to Spa voucher, which gives you a predetermined time, I think it's 3 months, where if you come back, you can use that Love to Spa voucher to get a discount off. And we're seeing around about a third of those that actually get redeemed. So those are things that we're working on in terms of trying to drive up our spa guest retention. So what I want to share was just some of the ideas. I thought I would just give you a few practical ideas of what we've done in the short 10 minutes that I've got just to talk to you. So we sort of created this term that we call the curious customer. So what we are finding is that people want something a bit different. So we've also wanted to get away from the discounting of our standard spa experiences and spa offerings. So we create unique time-limited offers. What I mean by time-limited offer is that it's around a theme. So around Wimbledon in the summer, we would do a Strawberries and Dreams spa package, which is only available in June and July. And then that offer is no more. And it would be those types of offers, that time-limited offer, which we would be prepared to discount on or to offer a more competitive price. It doesn't look discounted, it's just more competitively priced than our standard packages. And it's that actually, because it's something a bit different, but they're coming back to a familiar spa, which actually helps to drive and get more people in. Again, post-pandemic, and I'll show you the figures in a second, we're seeing a huge increase in non-therapist treatments, so things like Sorrel mud chambers. And we're working hard with our supplier partners to look at other kind of non-therapist-led treatments that we can actually offer as part of our spa packages, because we're seeing a big increase demand for those. And finally, and again, inspired, but I'm forced into this by circumstances rather than it being an inspired decision. So we have found where we had a spa in Suffolk actually that had a massive fire in the summer. So we've lost our swimming pool and our saunas and our steam rooms and our jacuzzis and all of that, and won't get them back till later this year. So we've had to be really creative, because it's a bit difficult to offer a spa experience when there's nowhere else to go other than the treatment rooms and the relaxation area. So we've worked with local companies, and we feel we've tapped into a bit of a rich seam of people that actually want to have different local inspired experiences, and I'll show you one example of those as well. So let's talk you through those. So the time-limited experiences, say this could be like we'll do something around November and Guy Fawkes, or we'll do something around spring. We'll try and create a number of different limited offers that are only available, and people can only book them and redeem them within 2 months of one another. And this is showing you the percentage compared to of all our experience revenue across the clubs. So you'll see there's a wide difference across our spas, and that slightly reflects the type of spas that we have. So Park Farm on there, very low, because actually that is mainly a treatment-led spa, very little day spa experience at all. On the other side, you've got places like the Shrewsbury Club and River Hills, where actually experience is what they're all about, and we get an awful lot of repeat business, so people like the fact they're coming for a slightly different experience. And there, it's up to about half of our experience revenue is not from our standard packages, but it's just from these unique one-off offerings that we actually create. So that, for us, has been really useful in not only being a big part of our revenue, as you can see, but actually being really good in terms of getting previous customers, previous spa guests to rebook and come back in. It gives them an excuse to come back in. The second thing I talked about was non-therapist-led treatment rooms, and this graph just shows you the difference in growth of the Sorrel mud chambers, where we had them pre-pandemic, to where they are now post-pandemic, using 2023 as a full year example compared to 2019. So 2019 is the orange, 2023 is the blue, obviously. And you will see across the two things really I want to pull out of that. One is across the board, we're seeing somewhere between a 10 to 20% increase in Sorrel mud chamber revenue. And as I say, the only thing we can attribute that to is the fact that people quite like to be in a treatment with friends, but not actually therapist-led. And secondly, would be to sort of talk about the average investment in a Sorrel mud chamber is around 40,000. This is showing you the revenue for a year. So at some spas, we get an incredible payback. Costs are pretty low, because you've really just got the cost of the utilities and the muds. Very little time for, as I say, no staff time involved really, other than obviously a bit of cleaning. And so this for us is a real profit driver and helping us to recover the profit. So non-therapist-led treatments, definitely a driver. And then finally, so we talked about working with local partners. So this is our spa in Ipswich. Say they had a fire, so we had to be something really creative to try and get people to come in on a spa day. So Aldborough, famous sort of fishing village, but also now has its own gin distillery, which is actually on the coast, called Fisher's Gin. So we went to Fisher's team. We tried to say, we'd like to work with you. They could see that our kind of guest database would be very similar to the kind of database that they had. So we worked together to create a gin-inspired spa day, and create some different type of experiences as part of that spa day. So you'll see in the top right-hand side, part of what they do with the gin day and the distillery tour, which we now do as part of the spa day, is they take coastal herbs and botanicals, and they put them in to infuse the flavour of the gin. So we actually take those botanicals, and they've trained our therapists to be able to take those different herbs and spices, put them in a pestle and mortar jar, create their own kind of branded botanical blend, which we then put in a little muslin bag, and they have a botanical tea. So as part of that experience of hands-on getting to make that whilst you're in your robe and your towel, those are botanicals that you use in the gin. We then worked with our product house, Temple Spa, to identify which of the Temple Spa products contained those same kind of herbs that we could therefore use as part of the spa treatment, incorporated it with that. And then we got our chef to infuse the salmon that we use in the afternoon tea with Fisher's gin, and to make a cake that was infused with Fisher's gin as well. So we get to go a route to market with a local supplier. People love the fact that it's all about Suffolk. We get to tap into their database. They get to kind of promote themselves through us as well. It is a win-win for both of us, and it has driven in a significant amount of business at a time at Spa when we were struggling to do that. So for us, the outcome of that is that we're rolling this out now around our other clubs and finding other local suppliers. There's Ludlow Gin, so the Shrewsbury Club are doing a thing with Ludlow Gin, and we're actually using that more and more as a way of actually growing our business in a unique and slightly different way.
Do we have in the room one or two questions from what you heard? I know I have one. Aha, okay. Mike? Mike Brugman from the U.S.
Mike Brugman, yes, from Organic Mayo and High Wellness, two consumer product brands. This probably is more of a Dave question, but I'm curious for all of you. When I was listening to you speak, it was interesting because you have the health and fitness component, then you have the spa component, and I was wondering if you introduced members to a wellness model that was exclusive to the brand that would really help them connect recovery, yoga, mindfulness, and spa, nutrition if you have a bar or whatever, and then the physical component, and show them how they link across, and they could see like wellness apps, they could see a lot of things happening with that to just help the consumer, because I don't think they always connect all of those dots.
Sure, absolutely. So, yes, and to sort of support what Steph was saying, we're seeing a real growth in demand for recovery-style products, so we're including those and offering those more into our clubs, and so I think there is a general morphing across, and over time I'm pretty confident we're going to see more of our members actually using the spa facilities. I think the history of where the clubs have come from and the way that we marketed them, certainly pre-pandemic, we've created the situation that we've got. We had spas and the health club pretty much from when we either bought the clubs or created the clubs. So we've not had the benefit of adding them on in the way that David Lloyd have done. So yeah, I think the answer to your question is absolutely. We're seeing more of a demand of people wanting to be in the clubs before, seeing them as more of a lifestyle, not just a place to come in, and it's creating issues for us. So for example, a lot more of our members are now using our changing rooms than ever before, because they're actually staying in the clubs for longer. So a lot of our members would come, they go for a workout, they play tennis, or they go in the gym or whatever, and they go straight home because they wanted to be there for a short period of time. Now they're staying for longer. Our change room usage has gone up, our demand for lockers has gone up. So there's a real challenge for us about how we manage that. And of course, we actually require, our spa revenue is 25% of our total turnover, so we don't want to lose our day spa guests. So it's about how we manage that process. But yes, I think we will morph towards more of our health club members embracing more of what we offer in the spa, and the offering of the non-therapist led treatments is a key part of that. Apps and all that kind of stuff I think is also coming in. But yeah, I think we will see that move across. We haven't actually done that just yet. David Lloyd are further down the road than we are in achieving that, but we are. That's definitely a direction which I think we will be moving the business.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. It's we're trying to pull it all together and encompass what wellness means to us as a business, and it's difficult to define because everybody thinks it's something different. And we're looking at, is it a bit more medical, is it a little bit more holistic? And I think the answer is that it's everything. And I think the answer is also that we possibly do an awful lot of it. All of us in here probably already do an awful lot of what constitutes wellness. Some of it may be a little bit around marketing, and just pull it all together and say, we do offer, outdoors, we do offer yoga, we do offer exercise, which is excellent for well-being. But, I guess we're probably all struggling to define it. And I think an app is a wonderful idea. There's lots of them out there. They get a lot of use. But it is something that we are currently as a company trying to just work on. What is it for us? What's it mean for us? How do we define it? And how do we present it, really?
Great. And as a build on that, one of the consumer insights you saw me present was personalisation. So whilst I totally agree that live experience is absolutely where we all live and where we grow, actually utilising digital to actually serve that purpose and create a customer journey that's relevant to the person really can only really be done within the application, but it should earmark in all your blended services, and actually creating that personalised service for that consumer is the part of retention. It's not just a constant customer journey where people are choosing a quite traditional route. Actually, as you say, you've got a blended mix. I love the doing stuff stat. That's awesome, right? Because it's touch points at the end of the day, isn't it? And a personalised touch point for that individual, again, utilising digital methods to actually bring to life your in-club and in-facility and online proposition is absolutely massive.
Thank you. Mark, you had a question? It's okay. Alina, then, you had a question. I think I'm going to bring the mic, and that will be our final question for the session. Alina, can you introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alina Hernandez, and this particular day, I'm with the Touchless Wellness Association. Stephanie, you had something up there around the statistics around male usage in the spa being contrary to the industry. I'm wondering if you can tell us more about that, please.
I'm really glad you asked about that, actually, because I was planning to talk about that a little, and I ran away with myself. I do that a lot. So, yeah, we never really, as I suppose previously in my life before David Lloyd, spa was more heavily female usage. And I'd never all over the world. You know, I worked on cruise ships, I've worked in the States an awful lot and around the UK, and I'd never really seen predominant male usage until now. And I think at one point we were a little bit worried about it, because in the evenings our spas are really crowded with gentlemen. Are we putting off the females? And we watched it closely. And it hasn't really happened. It hasn't been a negative. And actually what we did was we looked at it in a different way and said, men suffer so much with mental health, and they don't really have an outlet for it. Isn't it wonderful that we're actually encouraging men to use spas, because actually they usually sometimes they can feel a little intimidated walking into a spa, and we seem to have taken that away, which is it's great. It feels good. It feels like we're doing something good for everyone. And it seems a bit more lifestyle than just the leisure that we usually see.
Thank you so very much to the three of you. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.